the iPhone SE3 is a very interesting phone because it feels extremely old, yet new. Now the iPhone SE3 feels extremely old yet new to me because it has that ancient iPhone 8 body, which definitely helps with nostalgia, but it also has most of the capabilities of a new iPhone, which I also really like. It's very small, compact, has those extremely huge bezels, and still has the legendary home button that also serves as a Touch ID sensor. It also has iOS 16, an updated camera system, and many more features that really give it a great experience. And even though I love the look, I understand that for most people, nostalgia isn't always a good thing. There are times where the screen is too small to use, there are times where I do miss Face ID, and there are also times where I really want a bigger phone instead. And even though there are many upsides and downsides when using the iPhone SE, I still wanted to share my experience to help you guys decide whether or not it's actually worth buying. Now the first thing that I wanted to look at when it came to the iPhone SE is its software. I really loved how great the iPhone SE was at running iOS 16. I was even on the latest iOS version and it still handled it really well. Like right here, you can see me scrolling through the OS, and throughout my extended time of using it, I was shocked that I didn't really get any lags or hiccups along the way. I also really enjoy how well everything was able to fit into the small screen. Like whenever I'm using a bigger phone like the iPhone 14 Pro Max, some apps aren't as compatible and get blown up, but every app was very compatible on the SE3, and that was pretty nice. Also, I really like that I was able to see some of the older features on my SE3, like being able to swipe up from my control center, being able to double tap to pull up tabs, and the Touch ID being integrated within my passwords was all something that made me really reminisce. For me, it was like a trip to the past combined with the software of the future, and that's why I think that most people who enjoyed the older iPhones will be happy with the iPhone SE. And the last thing that I loved about the SE3 software was that it felt like it was made for this phone. Like it wasn't really missing any significant features, and I was overall very satisfied with the experience. Now the next thing that I wanted to look at is something that'll make or break your experience with the SE, and that's the display. Now the reason I like the display on the SE3 was because even though it was smaller compared to other phones, I still think that in terms of resolution and quality, it held its own weight and left me very satisfied. The colors were vibrant and punchy, the sharpness was good, and the whole picture didn't really compare to the low budget specs, but that's where my likes about the display come to an end. Now the first problem that I had with the display was that it wasn't that bright. Like whenever I tried to go outside and look at my phone, it was very hard to see even when I turned the brightness up, and that's where the cheapness started to show. I also didn't like the fact that the screen didn't have a 120 Hz or 90 Hz refresh rate like on a lot of other budget phones. Like don't get me wrong, Apple does make pretty good 60 Hz displays, but I feel like the standard refresh rate for a phone now is 120 to 90, and the fact that it's 60 makes it seem outdated. And now the last thing that I really didn't like about the display on the SE3 was the fact that Apple still decided to include those huge bezels. Even after some time of using it, it was kind of hard for me to adjust, but if you're someone who does like the older iPhone look, then this won't be much of a problem. But if I'm being honest, for me it was, and right here you can see I'm watching a video, and the bezels are so huge that there will be times where I would get distracted looking at my reflection, and again, that was a huge problem for me. Now looking at the battery, the iPhone SE3 was pretty mid. I didn't love it nor did I hate it, but with the right strategy, you can get a great battery life. If I wasn't using Google Maps or playing games, I could make this phone be able to last till the end of the day. I could be doing things like watching YouTube, listening to music, talking, etc. And again, if you're doing those things, it will last you for most of the day. But again, whenever I use power heavy apps like Maps, I will have 2 to 3 hours of on-screen time, and my phone will last me until like 4 p.m, which really wasn't good at all. So I will personally say that if you are someone who likes to use power heavy apps, then you should always keep your car, regular or portable charger on you, so there will be some certainty that this phone will last you all day. Now when it comes to the iPhone SE, the one thing that I think many people will underestimate is its power. And if you guys didn't know, the iPhone SE3 has an A15 Bionic chip that is the exact same chip that you can find in the iPhone 13 mini, 13 Pro Max, and 13. And if I'm being honest, I would say that the power is holding up very well. Like right here, you can see me playing a power heavy game and I have no hiccups whatsoever. There are even times where I was on the phone while playing, and again, the phone didn't freeze or slow down on me. And the chip is really what made this phone feel very fresh. Everything else on the SE3 is old, but the power makes this phone feel much faster and smoother. And I also really like that whenever I'm using power heavy apps, my phone would get hot, but not to the point where I should be concerned. Like on a lot of other budget phones, the back would get hot to the point where I really couldn't hold it anymore. And if you are someone who is interested in buying the iPhone SE3, then one benefit is that it will last much longer than any other budget phone, not only because of the processor, but also because its software will be able to update for the next 4 to 5 years. And now looking at camera, the iPhone SE3 has a single camera that is 12 megapixels, and this is where the SE is extremely outdated. Now besides the specs, the camera on the iPhone SE3 was a bit surprising to me when it came to the quality and light, because when you look at it on the outside, it looks as outdated as any older iPhone, but when we look at these daytime outside photos, photos, we can see that this is where the camera was able to shine. My selfies were surprisingly good, the accuracy was on point, and the resolution was mildly sharp. But the only problem that I have with it is that sometimes the light would get in the way. Like if I took a picture at the wrong angle, the light would be overbearing and kind of ruin the photo. And now when we look at the daytime inside photos, we can see that the camera again was able to shine with good lighting. The sharpness wasn't always there but was still acceptable. My skin tone looked great and the objects looked really good. And now looking at zoom modes, the SE really didn't have any zoom modes, so what I did was I manually zoomed in to take pictures to see what the quality would look like. And if I'm being honest, it looks outdated, but it really isn't the worst. I've seen plenty of other phones take really bad pictures, and again, this one really wasn't that bad. And also, I don't really want to be too harsh since this phone isn't really that capable and it's a cheaper model. The shutter speed is really fast. Right here you can see me taking pictures of things that are moving fast, and not only does it capture most movements, but it still produces a high quality picture. And now when it came to video quality, I would say that this is one of the best budget video cameras that you're going to get in the market. Every video I took was good, especially when the lighting was right. And again, the light could be in the way and get overbearing, but again, this phone is pretty cheap, so I'm not going to expect too much. The video stabilization was very good. Whenever shooting videos, I can use everything handheld, and the movements will be very smooth, which was very impressive. So all in all, I would definitely say that the iPhone SE has a pretty good video camera that's really good for its price. But if you're someone who wants to shoot content or you just want a solid camera, there's definitely much better options if you want to spend a little bit more money. And also, here's some extra videos that I was able to get. So here's the final question. Should you buy the iPhone SE3 in 2023? Well, I would say that if you just want a solid phone, you don't care about iPhones, then there's plenty of other Android phones that are much better than this at the same price point. But if you are someone who wants an iPhone, specifically an iPhone that looks like this, then I would say it's completely worth it. But also, you can get another iPhone for around the same price, but it will be older and used, so you can pretty much make your decision from there. But besides that, the iPhone SE3 is a pretty good phone that I think many people will enjoy. And there it is, you guys, my review on the iPhone SE3. Now let me know down below, would you get the iPhone SE3 over any other budget phone in the market? And again, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.